YouTubery.
For joining us
Mm-hmm.
this fateful Monday.
I mean, not too fateful. Raiders haven't quite lost yet.
This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. It sucks.
Hey, happy Monday.
Well, hey, everybody. Happy Monday. You're not used to hearing that on this podcast. But
I know. I think we've probably done that one other time, maybe a happy Monday.
Yeah. I think we've just abandoned all. I mean, eventually we'll go back to Fridays, I'm sure. But for now, we're just kind of all over the place.
Just bear with us, folks. Winter's like right around the corner.
Yeah. Winter's going to be nice and calm. But summer's been a little crazy in a good way.
Yes.
Make for difficulties with a consistent podcast schedule. But luckily, I think most of our people are not really doing the live stream thing. So that's okay. We have some to do consistently. And we are sorry to them.
I mean, we will try to be better in maybe after September. I feel like after September, we can maybe start to develop a little bit of a routine until Halloween. And then you're kind of going to be screwed again come Halloween time. But then winter will set in and it'll all be better. Trust us.
But speaking of crazy summers, Mike and I thought it would be fun to display behind us the same poster. 2 different frame jobs, both equally great. My opinion.
Equally wondrous frame jobs and these are the posters that we copped at Deer Creek this summer. So
yes, one of the coolest fish posters I think I've ever seen. It's really booky looking, kind of alien.
I love the comic book. I love the comic book feel of the thing, and frankly, I mean, outside of Dick's, which the Dick's run had a really, really cool poster too. So
that did have a really cool poster. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. You cut out for a second there, Mike, but we're back online. So
okay. Well,
okay. So before we get into it, I'm too nervous about this poster. So you talk for a second, Mike, while I pull it down in this very precarious position, sitting on top of this tiny little 4-inch ledge that sticks out from my bar that's behind me. So
the backstory here for everybody that's watching or not watching is JB has now removed his headset and he's very gingerly removing the beautiful poster that we were just showing off on YouTube because, of course, that particular poster and frame job is not exactly one that belongs to JB. That poster and frame job was a beautiful frame up that was paid for by JB and Justin as a friend or as a gift to Sean, friend of the podcast. He's been on a couple of times before, and he went to that Deer Creek run with us. So, it was given to him last weekend, but he wasn't in, he certainly wasn't in shape to take possession of it that night. And so it's been gingerly biding its time over at JB's house. Not for too much longer, though.
But now it's good because then we can use it for things like props in the background for the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Like the the backdrops for the podcast are always important. So it's been a hot minute, but I feel like this week has been a week where we can really get to talking about new music. Have you listened to the new Casey Musgraves album yet?
No, but is that the one that you got on vinyl? Did you get the brand new one?
Yeah, I sure did. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Because my wife was texting me about a couple of the songs on it last Friday morning, and so it was the only new disc that I spun last Friday. But wow, man alive, like really, really good.
Did she release some of those tracks ahead of time, or was it all fresh?
There was only one because I saw that she had the new album coming out maybe 2 weeks ago, and she had released one single on it. Justified, I think, was the pre-album drop single that she released. But it reminds me a lot of Red from the standpoint of it's definitely Casey Musgraves, but it is definitely not a country record.
It's like a
Does
pop
that make
record.
sense? Yeah, a lot of electronica too. It's one of those records that when you listen to it, what it made me say was, thank God Casey Musgraves started hanging out with the Flaming Lips.
Electronic, like in the way that Sturgill's record was, or totally different?
I'm
talking about the old one. the electronic one, or the house beat one?
Well, no, it's kind of like that. So Sound and Fury is the Sturgill record that you're talking about, and yeah, kind of like that, maybe a little bit, but even more electronica, if you can imagine that. It's
Definitely.
very like synth poppy, kind of Lord-esque, but it's definitely Casey Musgraves, if that makes sense.
Is there still any country flair to it?
I mean, not much. Only because you know that it's her voice, and she still has these kind of country-esque inflections to the way that she like says some words and things, but it's really I don't know, man. It's really unique. You should absolutely check it out.
I will definitely be doing that.
Yeah.
Was there anything else new that you checked out?
No, they are getting ready to release, and maybe I think they did release that Metallica Blacklist album, which is 7 hours worth of covers of tracks from the Blacklist.
I'm looking at that right now, and it has Miley Cyrus is the top billed cover, and then My Morning Jacket's on there, Elton John, St. Vincent's on there, Chris Stapleton.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, like, every single one of those tracks from the Black Album has anywhere from 2 to, like, I think some songs are covered like 7 times by 7 different people, which it's kind of cool, but I don't know, man. That's a lot of Metallica cover.
That maybe doesn't need to be that long, you know.
I mean, you
do one version for each song would be reasonable.
Even if you wanted to say like 3 versions for each song, I mean, I guess you could do that, but like I said, there's some that are just ridiculous. Some just
there were a lot of new releases this past Friday, and I didn't check out any of them, and that's dumb. There's a new there's some that most people won't care about, but I'm excited about, which is a new Pat Metheny record. That's cool to me.
Should I also be excited about that?
I would say so. Yeah, I mean, you like jazz and you like fusion-y kind of stuff, and that's Pat Metheny. He's fantastic, jazz guitar player. An older guy for sure. Actually, one of Trey Anastasio's biggest influences. But there's also there's a new Sleigh Bells record, which I haven't followed their catalog too closely, just to be honest, but I have seen them live once and it was pretty crazy. There's a new Common album, like a straight up Common studio release. It's 14th.
Yeah, and I didn't listen. I literally didn't listen to anything else, unfortunately. I did buy some new vinyl though. In fact, I picked up that Casey Musgraves on vinyl because I'd already listened to it enough that I was like, yeah, I'm down. And for the record, super, super cool gatefold. And I am a nerd for people that do unique, cool things with the gatefolds on vinyl. And she did it. Like, she totally did it. So nice. That was rad. I picked up a used. What was that?
Sorry to interrupt. I said, is it a colored disc?
It is. Yeah. And there's there's like 3 different variations of the colored platters that you can get. And they're like labeled on the outside of the package. It's like surprise color 1, surprise color 2, surprise color 3. Nice. So not to ruin the surprise for everybody, but surprise color 1 is a red platter, a spectacularly beautiful red platter, but it's a red platter. Yeah, but in addition to that, I also got I picked up a used copy of Introducing by DJ Shadow. And you and I talked about that, and it's an OG pressing of it. Super stoked. Even the guy, when I was checking out, when he picked it up, he goes, "Wow, this is a good find." And I said, "Fuck yeah, it is."
$20 too. You said, right?
Yeah,
that's nuts.
Yeah, it was super.
We had that one reasonable. Like several weeks ago, but we had it on the list.
Yeah, it was on the list. I want to say 370s.
Yeah.
370s or 380s, something like that, but really, really killer. I also picked up Only Built for Cuban Links by Chef Raekwon, which we have not encountered on the list yet, but I fully anticipate us to, because that That one to me is kind of right up there with 36 Chambers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Above Liquid Swords in your
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, or at least on par, right? Like on par with Liquid Swords, on par with 36 Chambers, on par. Like definitely I prefer it to Supreme Clientele, but yeah, a lot of Ghostface is on that record and a lot of really, really good kind of classic Wu-Tang. So hopefully that gets hopefully we see it. But I got that picked up.
You go ahead.
I'm just trying to remember. Oh, I got Sam Cooke. I got Portrait of a Legend, which we just encountered. I was kind of shocked to find it, but I loved it. Picked it up. Something else. I shot you a picture of it, but I don't remember what the hell else was in that stack of goodies. But for the record, for anybody that's interested, coming up, I want to say coming up next month, My Morning Jacket is releasing a new record, and they've already dropped a single off it, which is good. It's good and fun.
Wow. Well, that is pretty exciting.
It is pretty exciting because this is the first it's new My Morning Jacket that wasn't just recorded at a previous session, if that makes sense.
Yes, that does make sense. Do you know what they had just announced it. They even put out a little video for one of the tunes. Did you check that out?
Yes, I did. And it's a cool video with them riding around in the car.
Riding around in the car singing the song. The other record that you picked up was Tedeschi Trucks with Trey Anastasio doing Layla and
from Lock-In
love songs. Yes.
Yeah. From that Lock-In set. And that was fun. Mikey and I were huge sets of that. And Mike was the one that actually found it in the record store. He found 2 copies. He walked them both over and he's like, dude, look what I found. This is my oldest son, Mikey. And I walk and he carries them both up to me and he's like, one for you and one for me.
Nice.
I said, fuck yeah,
Mikey.
Yep. Yeah, it was indeed a good find. So good day. Good day for scoring vinyl, good day for scoring records. And yeah, it was fun. How about you? Just playing gigs or anything good?
Yeah, it was honestly a crazy busy weekend, which is abnormal these days for me. This kind of what used to be the norm. But these days my weekends have more often been not filled by gigs, but this weekend was full. So I played at a wedding on a Friday night, but it was actually super cool and fun because it wasn't like a normal wedding. Occasionally I'll play at weddings and with like a wedding band, and it's okay, but I mean, it's not like my favorite type of gig to play. But this was a friend of Pale Blue Earth, and they basically just wanted a Pale Blue Earth show at their wedding. And so we played a bunch of original tunes, I mean, as they kind of requested, and it was a great time.
That's fantastic. Which, by the way, not this last weekend, but the weekend before, Pale Blue Earth did their record release show and fucking burned the house down. That was crazy. Great show.
Well, thanks for being there, Mike. That was a good time for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, okay. So wedding on Friday and then another gig on Saturday, right? Yesterday?
Yeah, I played at the famous Des Moines Yacht Club on Saturday with my other band. So good times, as always, down at the Yacht Club. Gets a little
wear a life jacket,
but we gotta love it. So
wear a life jacket.
Yes, definitely do that. Bring some rope.
Yeah, that's right. Well, last episode was a big episode because we finished up another 100, which was
our second campaign episode.
Yeah,
so always fun to get to one of those. And this week we're breaking into the 200s.
Yes, and what'd you think before we jump into it?
I thought it was a pretty solid week, maybe like one of the best weeks as a whole in a little while for me. There are a couple real bangers on this week and a couple surprises for me too. Maybe one surprise. Surprises that you did in a good way.
I was going to say that you didn't necessarily think you would like, but you were kind of shocked that you did like him. Is that kind of what you were thinking?
Yes. Nice. Maybe you felt the same way about the same record.
I mean, I'll be really curious to see which record that was for you, but I'll be honest with you, I really enjoyed this week, and just in the little bit of, I guess you could call it cheating that we've done, I'm really excited about the next couple of weeks. I think it's going to be really cool to go through some of these albums on here because we're getting into some jams, real jams.
Yes, we're really starting to get to like the territory on this list where it's just going to be banger after banger. I mean, that they can kind of throw a couple oddballs into the bottom 200 and get away with that just fine. And honestly, some of the oddballs that they threw in, super glad we got to delve into. They were absolutely worth it, and I totally understand why they put them on the list. Some not the case at all. At this point, you're in the top 300. It's going to be hard to get away with putting things that don't really deserve that position.
Yeah.
So it's just going to start to get more and more frequently that we have crazy albums on here.
Yup. So speaking of which, what do you say? You want to hop in?
Let's dive in.
All right.
You got 300?
I'll take 300. So the very first album this week, number 300 from 1997, we're going to be talking about Shania Twain's second album entitled Come On Over. No, fuck you, Mike. The third album. Okay, so Rolling Stone says Shania Twain's third album was basically a country thriller. Still the best-selling album ever by a female artist. Twain and her husband, AC/DC and Def Leppard producer John Mutt Lange, had radio in a hammerlock during the late 90s with hits like You're Still the One and Man, I Feel Like a Woman. And Twain's mix of genre-defined effervescence and feel like a woman's self-assertion helped pave the way for superstar rule breakers like the Dixie Chicks, Miranda Lambert, and Taylor Swift, who said seeing Shania perform inspired her to want to get on stage herself. So, out of curiosity, JB, was this one of the records that surprised you at all?
Not really. I mean, Shania Twain, like a lot of these tunes, like the big hits on this one, everybody's going to know them. And that says something about Shania Twain because, this is definitely, this album came out in 97. I was like 5 years old at the time. So I wasn't really listening to a lot of radio and that being said, definitely not remembering what I did listen to on the radio necessarily. So the fact that I still know a bunch of these and that you still hear these all over the place kind of says a lot about Shania, I would say. So no, this is not the one I was referring to, but this is a pretty solid record. I kind of went into it knowing I was going to feel that way. It's not that I, listened to Shania Twain a whole lot on my own time necessarily, but this is extremely well made. Obviously, there's some really, really solid tunes that just got some serious radio play and serious cultural icons, I guess, especially like Man, I Feel Like a Woman. That's basically played at every single, show band type of event you ever would go to, whether that be a wedding or a big party and stuff like that. Yeah. People go crazy. So
You're Still the One. Like You're Still the One might be one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite Shania Twain song. Like there's just something about that melody, about her voice, the way she sings it. It's really, really good. But the numbers on this record are still really, really mind-blowing to me. Did you look through any of like just the sheer statistics about album sales on this record?
Like sales on this?
Yeah. Because it really is.
Remind me.
It's the female thriller.
Is it one of the best selling female albums of all time? Is it the best? The best?
The best. This record has sold 40 million copies.
Holy fuck.
40 million copies.
40 followed by 6 more zeros. Jesus Christ.
So there's 16 tracks on this record, and they talk about how this record had like the late 90s in a headlock on radio.
Yeah.
You made the comment you would know the singles. There were 12 fucking singles released from this record, dude.
Yeah, just looking through when I said singles, like usually there's going to be, one, maybe two that was like getting serious radio play.
Maybe 3 or 4, right? Like maybe a good strong record has like 4 serious radio singles. Fuck you. Not this one, dude.
Yeah. Man, I Feel Like a Woman had to be the top. Is that right?
It was one of them. I didn't drill down into single sales per se.
I know that didn't impress me much. Was another massive one.
Yes, You're Still the One was a massive one.
From This Moment On was a massive one.
Yeah. But like if you look at the list of everything that was a single, Man, I Feel Like a Woman was released as a single. I'm Holding On to Love to Save My Life was a single. From This Moment On was a single. Come On Over was a single.
Yeah.
You're Still the One. Honey, I'm Home. That Don't Impress Me Much. Black Eyes, Blue Tears. Rock This Country. and You've Got Away, I believe, was the 12th single. But it's just
Crazy.
It's so fucking nuts, dude. Like, if you think about that, I mean, they took them 14 months just to release all the singles associated with the record.
Yeah. This is a fairly long record, and 75% of this record was a radio single.
Became a radio single at some point. It's
That's
stupid.
a crazy statistic.
But oh shit, I'm sorry. I didn't even think about holding my book up in front of me, Reed. My favorite tracks that don't impress me much. She's got that corny ass line about Brad Pitt. She's got so many corny ass lines in it, but it's really clever. Like, it makes me giggle.
It is clever. I love the corny lines on that one, but I mean, like the little stops that you're talking about, where she like something real quick before the chorus. Yeah.
So you're Brad Pitt or whatever the fuck it is. It's so ridiculous, but it works.
It is ridiculous, and it's like she's kind of setting a high standard there. I mean, the very first one is like, "So you're a rocket scientist, or what?" Like, I think that's a pretty fucking big deal, Shania. This guy's a rocket scientist. I mean, it's not like something to scoff at. She's like, I don't give a shit.
I know. She's definitely denigrating some people that have really fucking put in some work to try to think.
Exactly. I mean, not that Brad Pitt does that, but
yeah,
maybe he does.
But I love that Don't Impress Me Much. I love Man, I Feel Like a Woman, both super, super catchy. And the horns in Man, I Feel Like a Woman are just, I mean, whatever. If you don't like horns, it's just because you're stupid. And they're really, really well done in that song. But to me, my favorite song on this record, just because it's so beautiful, is You're Still the One. Man, I loved it. Just such great songwriting there. Great songwriting. So that one does
have the pedal steel, which I love. But for me, I have just played You're Still the One at too many weddings to hear it again in my life.
I believe you. I know.
But it's a good one. I also really liked From This Moment On. And it's a great ballad. Probably my favorite ballad on there. Honey, I'm Home was another highlight for me.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I wrote down boom bap, because that's what it seemed like. It seemed like a boom bap beat, but with a country fiddle over the top of it.
Oh yeah,
I loved it.
Some of this is really borderline not country too, which kind of helps make that parallel to Taylor Swift, in my opinion. Because like Come On Over, not really a country song. It's more like pop or maybe soft rock or something like that. Like there's a lot on here that is it's a stretch to label it as country, in my opinion.
Well, so I really quick question for you, because all these songs were written, the writing credits for all these songs were for Shania and Mutt Lange. So
was that her husband?
I'm curious. Yes. Yeah. Of AC/DC and Def Leppard before that. Like, he was a big rock producer, like a big name. And so I would really I would love to see interviews where they talk about the songwriting process. And I wonder if it was more a push from him to create a more like pop sound to go with her country credentials, or if it was something that she wanted to do.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd be interested to hear that too. And I wonder how much of it was a goal to get a lot of radio play. I'm sure that had something to do with it, seeing his production credentials. And I mean, not that it's lesser for that being the case.
No, but I mean, to a certain extent, these people are, I mean, you're trying to make a living, right?
Yeah. I think they did okay.
I mean, I respect the fuck out of people that are making records purely because that's exactly the type of music that they want to make. But at the same time, if this is your job and you got to eat, I'm not going to beat you up for fucking making a record like this, especially when you can sell 40 million copies of it.
Yep. Yeah, that's what they wanted to do, and they did it.
Yeah.
But it's a good record. It's very, very good. It's just the facts that you were saying. I'm blown away by the fact that it's so long and that most of it was a single.
Yeah. I mean, it's really astounding in a lot of ways. But now I want to get down to the real heart of this conversation, because if you look at it by the numbers, it has to be on this list. If you listen to it just with your ear, I think you can make the case for it to be on the list. but where do you want to put the placement of this thing given the pedigree in terms of sales versus the music, like the pure musicality of it?
I mean, the sales are more of like the stake driving into it for me. Like, this is a great, like, just objectively for what it is. I mean, this is fantastically made album, and just the influence that it has. Not even if you hadn't even told me the sales, I would have said. And just to preface this, like I said before, I'm not like listening to a lot of Shania Twain in my own time. But this, if you wouldn't even have told me those sales numbers, I would have said in this position or higher, certainly not lower on the list.
Okay.
You know,
wow.
How about you?
You know, I mean, I guess for me, in a lot of ways, like this is almost like the Nirvana for female country artists. Like, this gave female country artists a license to do way more than just be another Loretta Lynn or Dolly Parton type of
really
singer. Yeah, or even Reba McEntire for that matter, right? Because I think that's probably even a better contemporary of kind of an archetypal like female country artist. And Shania Twain really turned that shit upside down, you know. And
you have to think that she really helped pave that way for the connection between like country and pop. I would think.
Yes, Miranda, like everything that Rolling Stone said in terms of Miranda, the Dixie Chicks, Taylor Swift, you know, all these artists this just had to have been so monumentally influential to them that from that standpoint, yeah, I'm okay with it here. I mean, listen, if it slipped 25, I wouldn't be upset, but that's really kind of splitting hairs. And it's funny because this is not a record that was just instantaneous to me that, oh yeah, it's definitely going to be on this list. In fact, I was shocked when I saw those sales figures and learned that this was the greatest selling record from a single, from a female recording artist. That really blew me away when you think about Mariah Carey or Whitney or like Madonna.
Or Madonna, yeah, or even Taylor Swift. You know, but
even Taylor Swift, right?
They don't sell. Like, if streaming wasn't a thing, I would think Taylor might have surpassed. But I don't know. You also have like the over a period of time argument, because like 40 million is a hard number to get to. You know?
Yeah. You're not getting there overnight. Like, that is taking time to get to that number.
Yes.
But either way, this is a spectacular record, and you don't even have to like country music. You just have to really, really. It's heavily produced. Like, if you're going to make any argument against it, you know, you might say that the production was a little bit heavy-handed. I don't even know that it was heavy-handed though. It was just super, super flashy, like super flashy pop country.
It's its own version of pop country. Like, Shania has her own sound, and it's fun. I mean, undeniably, it's like it's fun to listen to. And I specifically love like her little intros, not to get back into it, but like the little things like from the very first one, like the "Let's Go Girls." Crazy when that song starts. They really do. There's one song where I just like laughed out loud. The fourth one, it's like don't be stupid, you know I love you. So like there's like a little guitar line or something, and it goes like dun, 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 and then she just goes cool, and then they right into it, and it's just like I just laughed. There's no way I was going to.
It's the human side of Shania Twain, apparently, in the recording booth.
Yep. Oh yeah, or Inhuman, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. All right, what do you say?
Let's do it.
All right.
Did you add this to digital?
No, I didn't add it to digital. I'd pick up a used copy of the vinyl. Yeah, I'd probably pick up a used copy. I don't dislike this record at all. I'm not going to necessarily seek it or go out of my way. How about you?
I did not add it to digital, but I mean, if I saw it on vinyl, I might pick it up just for the purpose of putting it on when I had a bunch of people over and having, man, I feel like a woman start. I'd probably change it, to tell you the truth, but whatever.
That horn line, dude, you just can't go wrong. Everybody would go nuts, dude.
Oh, that's what you were talking. I think that's actually a synth.
You think so?
Yeah.
No.
We'll have to look it up, but I don't think they're real horns. I think it's like a synthesizer that is made to sound like horns. We'll have to look into that and get back to the listeners.
Yes, indeed.
Pull. No. Okay. $2.99. BB King live at the Regal. I'm excited for Mike to have gotten to listen to this one.
Mhm.
So, 1965. By the mid 60s, BB King's career appeared to be winding down as black audiences began to turn their backs on the blues. But a British revival introduced the blues to young white American rock fans. Live at the Regal, recorded in Chicago in 64, paved the way for King's appearances on the rock concert circuit and FM radio. His guitar sound was precise and powerful, driving emotional versions of some of his most influential songs, including Every Day I Have the Blues and How Blue Can You Get? So, Mike, we talked about this one for a couple weeks. What'd you think?
It shocked me how much I enjoyed the band. Does that make sense?
His band is killer on this album.
His fucking band absolutely rips. And I've never listened to any BB King. Never. This may have been the first BB King record that I've ever listened to. Yep. And so it was really, really fascinating to me because I've always thought of him as just like this just Goliath of guitar playing. But man, he was way more like a Howlin' Wolf or who's the other blues man?
Muddy Waters.
Muddy Waters. Yeah. He kind of reminded me more of one of those guys. And I thought that he was I don't know. I guess I just had in my mind he was going to be some virtuosic blues player. But
sorry, go ahead.
No. Well, I have to imagine that just on different recordings is when he flexes his chops on the guitar. Not that he didn't do that at varying times on this record, but this record was, I don't know. I felt like this was way more about him I don't know. I felt like it was way more about the band. At least for me, it was anyway.
And yeah, so I don't think that he really does, flex on other recordings much more than this, to tell you the truth. And he certainly is that Goliath of guitar playing that you're talking about. And part of the reason is just how restrained he is, like he only plays the notes that need to be played. And he's just maybe one of the most tasteful and well-articulated blues guitar players of all time. Like he doesn't play long solos and he doesn't like do big builds and crazy, flashy stuff at all. But he plays short little solos that just are exactly what the song needed at the time. And just listen to the way the individual notes sound. I mean, it just sounds like each note that he plays has so much feeling and intention behind it. And that's why he is heralded, as one of the best blues guitar players of all time, for different reasons, because you got to think, Hendrix was around at this time too, and he's heralded for entirely different reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They couldn't be further from each other. So I totally get why that's what was your reaction,
Yeah. I wish that I could see a recording of this too, because it's also really, really difficult for me to pick out when he's playing it. Because I'm assuming that he's strumming along and chording also while he's singing. Does that make sense?
He is some of the time, and some of the time he's definitely not. Sometimes he's just going full front man, and then he pops in for a brief solo. His solos you could hear clearly, I'm sure, right?
Yes, absolutely. The solos weren't in question, but I was trying to think to myself, how much of this was him basically mimicking or maybe playing some like jazz guitar alongside the piano, which was present on all these tracks, or how much of this was him, just kind of throwing the axe to the side and just playing frontman, because his ability to connect with the crowd and banter with the crowd and really kind of control the pace and feel of that concert, that to me was what was special. You know what I mean? He was fucking running that room.
He's one of those guys that's just in charge when he's up there. Like from the time he steps out, you're going to be locked in. And if you good luck trying to fucking focus on anything else, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But He definitely played a little bit of rhythm, but I have to think that he was kind of doing like what you said, kind of throwing the guitar side, at least during a lot of the verses and stuff. If you want to hear a good example of his rhythm playing, I wrote it down on You Upset Me Baby, which is the 6th track. You should go back and give that a listen. And to any, guitar players who might be listening, listen to that. It's a really, really good example of him playing rhythm because you can clearly hear it during the verses. And he's a very, very good rhythm player too. I mean, he's mainly thought of, I guess I would say, I don't want to say mainly, but he's probably mainly celebrated as a lead player. But he played fantastic rhythm too, and that's the best example on this live album. In my opinion, is You Upset Me Baby. So give that a listen.
I will. I
know you did. Listen to it again with that in mind.
Yes. Sweet Little Angel. The fucking banter at the top of that song is really, really good. And I love the solo that he pulls off in Sweet Little Angel a lot.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Really good.
His
really,
tone
really good.
Is so amazing on that. And that's something you can only get from, first of all, the guitar he's playing it's called an ES335. It's a pretty big guitar for an electric guitar. And it's a semi-hollow body guitar too. So he's got this real thick tone. And that, like I said, that's only going to happen from that guitar plugged into an amp that is just cranked to 10, for sure. Because it's a great, his guitar tone is amazing throughout this entire thing. But specifically on his solos, like if you go back and listen to the You Upset Me Baby, you'll hear that his guitar sounds drastically different. You have to kind of listen to pick it out. Like it's not obvious, But I love Sweet Little Angel. And the way that it transitioned from song to song, that was another cool thing about this record is just that, like, he told these little stories in between. They were real short, real simple. It wasn't like it didn't get to the point of like, okay, shut up and play the song. Like they were just little snippets.
Well, and that's where to me it really, like, that was him orchestrating the crowd. Like he was literally, I don't know, it felt like him just taking the crowd on a journey the whole time. There was one break in the album where you could tell, they kind of spliced together 2 separate pieces of the same concert. But
the reason that happened is because they started one song and then it just cut off. It was You Upset Me Baby, actually, I think. It started off with a song, it played for a second, and then it just cut off and a new one started, and they were like, "Ladies and gentlemen, BB King." Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but
I don't. It felt to me like maybe they took a break, like took an intermission, and then came back out after the intermission, and so we got basically an abridged version of the concert, is what it feels like to me. But at the same time, I'm not going to complain about it because this whole thing was it was really spectacular. I loved Worry Worry. Man, I loved Worry Worry, especially the piano and the bass. They were just it was a perfect backdrop in my mind for what he was doing. The audience was fucking into it.
Yeah, there was like a really cool breakdown in there.
Yep.
Where the band was giving BB so much space. And on that one, I was just making notes about how tight the band was, and the horn fills were amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And his little storytelling that he was doing in Worry Worry was hilarious. And he was talking about he was like, he would direct a sentence at the women in the crowd, and he was like,
"Yes,
your man stays out too late. Don't go hard on him.
Don't go hard on him." And men, if your woman act up, don't smack her upside the head, because then when you go it again, she'll know what's coming.
And then he was like, if she acts up, you just go over to her and you just say, "I know you'll do better."
That's right, dude. It was so fucking classic. I mean, just so fucking classic, legendary.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole top of this record, to me, it's like 3 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars.
That's what I was about to ask, what your star situation looks like.
Yeah, I mean, towards on the back half of the record, Worry Worry was definitely my favorite, but I basically put stars pretty much next to everything else except for You Done Lost Your Good Thing Now. That one I put 3 stars next to that one too. I love the groove that they locked into towards about the 3-minute mark on that song. Really, really loved it.
Yeah.
And the horns were just fucking sublime. I mean, they're sublime across this whole record. The sax in How Blue Can You Get? Fuck. How fantastic can you get as a sax player? That's my question for you. But
yeah, that was good too. On you Don't Lost Your Good Thing Now, the piano was really sticking out to me on that one, big time, which is amazing because the guy that played piano on this, I was reading, wasn't even a piano player. Like they had an issue with their piano player. This guy was supposed to play organ, and basically they didn't have a piano player, and this guy didn't know how to play. That's not what he did. I mean, I'm sure he like physically could, but he wasn't. That's not what he was purported to be. And BB, he told BB, he's like, I don't know how to play the piano, and BB said, just sit down and act like you know what you're doing. And he did fucking great.
I know he did. Not like you said, through most of this record, I wouldn't say that it was like a monster standout piano performance, because it definitely wasn't that. But listen, if this guy doesn't, I want to not know how to play piano if this guy doesn't know how to play piano. You know what I mean?
You didn't notice says something though. You know, I mean, if you literally had a guy that didn't know how to play, it would be sticking out like a sore thumb. You know.
Yes.
So this is his version of not knowing how to play. Yeah, like Mike said, I want that too.
Yeah. So what was your star situation? I'm assuming it's just fucking littered.
It's pretty hefty. Sweet Little Angel was a 5-star. I mean, every song has stars next to it. Every single song has 3 or more.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I was most curious about, is if you went that heavy-handed through the whole thing.
My 3 5-stars were Sweet Little Angel, Please Love Me. And that was probably because of the horn fills and the guitar tone on the solo. And then Worry Worry. Those are my 3 5-stars.
Yeah, Please Love Me. It's funny because I loved the feel of it. Like it kind of had that shuffle feel to it. I loved the guitar solo. I loved the horns. But it didn't necessarily grab me like the first 4 tracks of the record. I don't want to call it a cooler track, but it almost felt like a cooler track to me. Yeah. And I think that's why I didn't give it more star love, is just because it was coming off of a series of serious fucking rips. You know what I mean?
That was your piss break song.
Basically. Yeah. And I hate to say that because, man, nothing on this record is deserving of that moniker. Like this is a spectacular record. I did add it to digital. I would love to find this vinyl. I really hope that I can find this vinyl.
I hope so too. I don't have it yet either, but yeah, this is one I've listened to for years, and I will again and again. And another thing I love about it is it's a legit live album. You know, yes. Like, so many live albums are compilations from different various shows. I mean, this is just straight up one concert.
One concert,
like continuously, with the exception of that one little hiccup in there. But other than that, it's just straight through. I mean, there's not even breaks, between the songs.
That's right. And honestly, whatever they did to create the edit that exists in this released recording, if they had like an unabridged recording of that entire concert, please, like, come on, let's share, right? This needs to be a record store day release or something, because man, the show is it's hot. It's a super, super hot show.
It's crazy the influence that this had. This is another little Wikipedia nugget, but so it says some musicians, including Carlos Santana, Eric Clapton, John Mayer, Mark Knopfler, have acknowledged using this album as a primer before performances.
Wow.
Kind of a little fact. It's like they listen to it as they, get in the zone to go play. Those are some big names.
That's what I was going to say, dude. That's like an MVP list right there.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the best guitar players of all time, for sure. I mean, yeah, definitely. Those guys are on the short list,
Yeah. What do you want to do with the placement? Because obviously you're all over this, like super familiar with it. You've got multiple listens under your belt on this record. So where do you want to see it land?
I want it up for sure. I don't think this is a top 100, so I'm not going to kind of make that argument, but I think that this is in the between 100 and 200, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think it's definitely too low. So it's one of the more egregious lower ones to me. Like there's been some worse placements, I would say, but this one is pretty. I mean, it's high. It's high. It's it's 300 or 299, but it's too low.
Do you think that we see more BB King?
this is definitely like the most well-known BB King record, and I don't know if we're gonna get like a BB King studio album or not. I don't even know how many of those there really are.
Okay.
I feel like when people think BB King, especially guitar players, like Live at the Regal is the go-to, you know. So I kind of don't think so. I kind of think this is going to be it.
Well, okay, so this is what I would say. If we have more BB King and somebody thinks that there's a better BB King record out there and it appears on this list somewhere, I want to hear that. I want to see where it appears on the list. If this is the only BB King on the record, yeah, I mean, I'd probably move it up about 100.
Well, I'm
just because he is special.
My words, because I just said that I don't know how many studio albums he did. It looks like there's like at least 30. but yeah, I still stand by what I said. I don't know if I think that this is all we get. So,
well, and so I'm still going to stand by that. Like it, to your point, it's received a lot of credit at $2.99, but at the same time, he's probably the greatest blues. He's probably the greatest blues guitar player ever. So maybe we need to give him a little bit more love than that.
Yep, agreed. I mean, he's definitely on the real high list.
Yeah, on a super short list.
Exactly.
Really, really great players. So
yeah, I mean, this one's incredible. If you haven't listened to this,
do it.
In my opinion, this should be. I'm just looking through the rest of the week. This should be. If you haven't listened to anything from this week, this should be your one that you check out, because this is just a real legendary album, and it's a live album, but you don't get those a lot as
this to me, if you're only going to listen to one record that you've definitely never heard before, for most people, then I agree with you on this one.
Yeah, it's funny because the guitar player world is different. Like most guitar players will have listened to this, but most non-guitar players probably won't have.
Yeah.
This is one of the go-tos. Like when you start looking into, you're like, okay, I'm getting into improvising on the guitar, and this is something I'm like really interested in. You start doing a little research online. Everyone, there's tons of lists of like the required listening, and this is one of the top.
And this is always one. Yeah, gotcha. Well, coming in after number 299 is going to be number 298 from 1989, Tom Petty's album Full Moon Fever. Rolling Stone says, it almost seems impossible to imagine now, but when Tom Petty turned in Full Moon Fever, his record company didn't want to put it out because they didn't hear a single. Fucking dummies. But the album was an enormous success with hits like I Won't Back Down, Running Down a Dream, and the majestic LA Portrait Free Fallin', possibly Petty's most beloved song. Producer Jeff Lynne gave the album a sleek but never slick sound that complemented Petty's sharpest set of songs in a decade. I don't know about that, dude. This thing was pretty fucking slick.
I think so too. And I think it's crazy that the producers didn't hear a single. How did you not hear a single in Free Fallin'? Free Fallin's definitely not my favorite Tom Petty song, but I mean, it's an obvious, like, that's one of the biggest songs ever made, I would say. I mean, literally.
The whole A side to this. How could you listen to the A side of this record and just be like, I don't get it.
It sucks. Yeah. Try again.
I don't know why you brought this, but this is hot trash, son. Take it back.
Yeah, that's just crazy to me. I mean, the first, like you said, the whole A side. I mean, you have Running Down a Dream, you have Won't Back Down, and Free Fallin' on the A side. Those are three massively popular successes.
Yeah. All of which I put 4 stars next to.
4?
And I probably could have given all of them 5 stars.
I gave all 3 of those 5 stars.
I don't hate you for that. I don't hate you for that at all. I could see that argument. Why did I only give them 4 stars? I don't know. I guess I was just being a stingy star dick that day.
You son of a bitch. I gave 4 songs 5 stars on this. I gave those 3, and then I also gave Feel a Whole Lot Better, which I hadn't listened to this record straight front to back before. Just full disclosure. And I didn't really know that one. That one was like probably my next favorite. I knew a lot of the songs on this one, but that one I didn't know, and I ended up fucking loving that one. So,
yeah. I mean, it's a Birds cover, which is cool.
Wait, is it really?
Yeah.
Holy shit! I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah.
I might have rethought my starring on that one if I knew that. If I'd known that.
Well, and maybe that's why I didn't, because I didn't put any stars next to that. Not because I didn't like it, but because to me, like I was looking at the writers of all these songs, like as I was listening to it, and when I realized that he was just doing a Birds cover, when you go back and listen to it, I think that you'll say to yourself, "Oh yeah, that's very clearly a Birds cover." And it's really well done. Like it's super faithful. It's really nice, but
because I definitely heard something different in there than I heard in the rest. But what I did hear, and what is one of the biggest things that needs mentioning about this album, is the Tom Petty arrangement. I don't know if he did it exactly in the same structure that they did. Maybe he did. I don't know. But
I don't know.
Tom Petty is such an amazing songwriter, but maybe even, superior to that is his arranging skills. Just the way that he has the perfect ear for what a song needs to do at any given time. He's like, okay, here we need to do a half verse, or here we need to have one measure of just instrumental, or here we need to have a 4-note guitar solo, like in Free Fallin', that little dun 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 dun. I mean, he just had an ear for what a song needed to do, where it needed to go, in order to keep the listener fully locked in and interested.
Yep. He was a brilliant songwriter. Like, there's just no way about it. He had a super, super unique quality to his voice that I think some people, it probably drives nuts. I can't get enough of it. Like, I really love it. And I love it in all the different settings too, because if you put it like in a really kind of super rock oriented setting with the Heartbreakers, he'll get kind of this gravelly grit to his voice that I'm fucking in on. And then you can also strip it back down with something like You're So Bad, where it's just really his voice and an acoustic guitar. And man, there's always this weird, sweet, forlorn like quality to his voice that it's Tom Petty. And it's not mistakable. You know what I mean?
There's zero way you ever mistake his voice for anybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know who Tom Petty is, there's no way you're ever like, hey, who is this? I don't know who's playing.
Exactly. Yeah. There's just this really, really unique quality to the tenor of his voice. All Right for Now. I loved that one too. Just like You're So Bad. Like, again, these kind of like soft acoustic settings with his voice. I'm really, really into. I love Depending on You. Yeah, the Apartment song too.
Great.
Yeah. The only song on this record that I really disliked was Zombie Zoo. Like, why the fuck did you put that on this record? You could have saved me the 3 minutes of silliness.
Really? Interesting. I liked that one.
No, you didn't. What'd you like about that?
I loved it. There was a lot of country to that, in my opinion. And you know who it reminded me of? I kept thinking Super 8 by Jason Isbell is what I hear when I listen to that song. Even like the playing at the Zombie Zoo, like it sounds like the hook is almost the same as the Super 8 Jason Isbell. So if you listen back and you think Jason Isbell, I bet you hear it,
Yes. I mean, I can hear it right now that you've said it. What created the block for me was the lyrics. Like the lyrics were just so stupid. I was like, no, I can't do this.
We're not intelligent, but they're supposed to be silly, I think he was just having fun, like threw it at the end of the record, but I dug it. And I like the choir background vocals on that at the end.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
get it though. Did you notice all of the Traveling Wilburys features that were all over this thing?
No.
So Roy Orbison appears on Zombie Zoo. He does some backing vocals on that. Jeff Lynne is all over this record musically, and he produced the record. And then George Harrison is on I Won't Back Down. He does some of the he does backing vocals on it, and I want to say maybe he plays some guitar on it as well. You'd have to fact check me on the guitar part though.
Interesting. I didn't know that George Harrison was involved. That's crazy.
Well, apparently they started this record before the first Traveling Wilburys record was cut, and then after they cut that Traveling Wilburys record, Jeff Lynne and Petty went back to the studio to finish working on this, and then because they were hanging out with those other guys, basically Dylan was the only one that didn't come back into the studio with Tom Petty and give an assist anywhere.
Gotcha. I did fact check, and George did play acoustic guitar on and went back down.
There you go. There you go.
Interesting.
Great record. I mean, just
fantastic.
Really, really fucking fantastic record. And we had the first Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, right? That's the only other Tom Petty entry that we've had on the list thus far.
I think this is our first one.
No. Didn't we have the very first Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers with American Girl on it?
No, I don't think
Really?
we did. I would be really surprised if I was forgetting that.
Fuck. Don't we have a production manager?
I know we do. Where is he? What's that? Yeah, he's not here. But I don't think so. We'll have to look back and make sure. But I'm like 99% sure that we do not. We've not had any Tom Petty. I think this is our first one.
All right, hang on.
Are you gonna find out somehow?
Yeah, I think I have a relatively quick way to fact check this.
Do you have the spreadsheet?
No, because if I had the spreadsheet, I would just cheat. Like, I would look at the spreadsheet all the time. So no, I don't have the spreadsheet, but what I am doing is I'm pulling up. And the reason why I feel like I know that we did this one is because of the cover art. But hang on. You know what? No, I got to be a liar. I must be lying. Fuck. Fuck. I don't see it on the Wikipedia, so we'll just have to assume that I'm a liar and that we haven't.
I'm trying to think about, like, you mean the very first one?
Yes. Because I thought that we had done a Tom Petty record that had American Girl on it. Man, I feel like I made notes on American Girl.
So American Girl is on the debut, like the eponymous.
Correct.
The one. And I'm just trying to look through, not seeing it on the Wikipedia page that is even on the list.
Exactly. So listen, we have to assume that I'm just utterly full of shit at this point, which I'm totally comfortable with, because I mean, we've listened to literally hundreds of records at this point.
I know, we have listened to 201 records as of this.
Yeah. So if I don't remember everything in the order in which it appeared, or what I have or have not listened to, sue me. Actually, don't sue me, but you know.
But I'm sure we do get more Tom Petty. This can't be the only Tom Petty.
No, I certainly wouldn't think that it would be the only Tom Petty either. I'm curious. I mean, what do you think about it? Do you like its placement on the list? Move it up, move it down? What do you think?
It's getting hard at this point because I feel like there's so many albums on it, like it's got to go up. But you can't put that many up that far because we only have so many spots. I feel like my immediate gut reaction is to say, put this up higher. I mean, this has Won't Back Down. This has Free Fallin'. This is an amazing, set of songs here, and huge influence that this had. It was released kind of later, I guess, in his like really, really hot section of his career. So I don't know. I my gut reaction would say to move it up a little bit, but I'm also cool with it where it is, but definitely not moving it down.
Yeah, and I'm gonna slip into that same groove. Although I don't necessarily think that it has to move up tremendously. I mean, to me, the hits that are on here are really, really monster, and they're really good. And I love that it's here. I don't know that it needs to move up significantly from here, though, just because the stuff that isn't a hit on this record, to me, it's solid, it's good, but there's plenty of stuff that that's forgettable for me on this record too, if that makes sense. Maybe not forgettable. Forgettable might be a little bit harsh. Actually, not for Zombie Zoo. Zombie Zoo is like I actively try to forget that song, but you know, the rest of it it's not bad. It's very good, but I want to leave it here because otherwise, we might get a little bit crowded.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So yeah, but definitely It's definitely a good, very, very good record.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's the nice thing about where we're at in the list. I mean, these are all going to be a joy to listen to.
Mm-hmm. And if you were like JB and you only ever went out and listened to the hits on this thing, listen, go out and spin this whole record. It's it's about 40 minutes plus or minus. Maybe it's like 42 or 43 minutes, but it's so effortless to get through, and you'll get to songs, even the songs that are deeper on this record. And even if you don't instantly recognize them from the radio, they're very listenable, really listenable. So,
yeah, absolutely. Should we move on?
I'm really excited to move on because now I know that this is the album that you were like, I was shocked.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if shocked is the right word, but pleasantly surprised. So 297 is Peter Gabriel So from 1986. Peter Gabriel got funky on the 1982 single Shock the Monkey, and then it took him 4 years to follow up that hit. The similarly visceral Sledgehammer slammed So into the mainstream, and its hold on radio and MTV deepened with the upbeat Big Time, the gothic love ballad In Your Eyes, beautifully employed by filmmaker Cameron Crowe in Say Anything, and the inspirational Don't Give Up, a duet with Kate Bush, who was shown locked in a 5-minute embrace with Gabriel in the video. A little awkward.
What a crazy fucking video, right? Do you think it was all just in...
Did you watch it?
In one take? No, I haven't watched the video. I don't know that I can. That's a lot.
I imagine they had to do like hundreds of takes, and they were just like, come on, man. Like, you didn't get the angle right that time?
By the end, Peter Gabriel was like, if I fucking have to touch Kate Bush for one more second, I'm going to shoot somebody.
Get your fucking hands off me, Kate.
Yeah, so, all right. I knew songs. Obviously, I knew songs on this record. Like, I knew In Your Eyes, I knew Sledgehammer, I knew Big Time, because those were all commercials. Fuck me, fucking moron. Those were all like monster music videos when I was growing up, particularly Sledgehammer and Big Time. I don't explicitly remember the video for In Your Eyes, but whenever I hear In Your Eyes, I instantly start to think about Girl Talk because Girl Talk has a magnificently like glorious sample of In Your Eyes on his album All Day. But the stuff that I wasn't familiar with on this record, I really liked. It was, I mean, it was kind of standard, like mid 80s fare, if you will, like very standard mid 80s fare, I would say, but really tastefully done. And a lot of stuff kind of shocked me. And some of the songs, like the stuff that he was writing lyrics about were in some cases just super fucking dark, like really dark. You know?
I mean, a lot of this was pretty ominous and dark feeling, like almost ethereal. Like Mercy Street is an example of that, at least at the beginning. So for this one, I knew Sledgehammer, and that was it. I didn't know any other songs. So, I mean, Sledgehammer is a pretty good tune. But that's kind of what I was expecting. And I mean, maybe I just heard it too many times because it is a big radio hit even to this day. And it's like, you know, you hear it in the grocery store and stuff, which is kind of funny, given the lyrical content to that, because it's basically him talking about his dick is what Sledgehammer is the whole time.
Yeah.
Some seriously funny imagery, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I didn't know any of these other songs. So I was expecting that Sledgehammer was going to be by far the best song on it, and Sledgehammer I'm okay with, but it's not like I don't love Sledgehammer. So, but I ended up liking a lot of the tunes on this. I mean, I liked the first song quite a bit, and I was impressed with how, well, maybe not impressed, but just it sounded a lot like Phil Collins, which I like Phil Collins, you know. So, and I don't know that Sledgehammer necessarily sounds that much like him to me, but a lot of these other ones do, and there's a lot of avant-gardeness going on here. Like he's doing some real experimenting.
Well, it's funny because after I did my first like cold listen to this. And for the record, I'm very much like you, JB. I knew Sledgehammer, but I knew Big Time, and I knew In Your Eyes. And outside of that, like everything else was new for me. But as soon as I got done listening to this, I instantly went back and listened to 2 different Genesis albums from when Peter Gabriel was with Phil Collins in Genesis. And that's where I think, I mean, to me, like as soon as I listened to those earlier Genesis albums, I was like, oh yeah, of course. No wonder it sounds like this.
Right. Was Peter Gabriel on Lamb Lies Down in Broadway? On Broadway?
I believe that. I think that was his last album. I think. Hang on,
I'll find that out real quick. I'm looking.
Yeah, that's okay. If you're looking it up, then that's good. But Genesis is another band though that for me, like, I have almost no familiarity with any of that catalog, and
I'm
so
sure you get a chance with a couple of the albums at least. Because there's no way that Lamb Lies Down on Broadway is not on this list. At least I would be really surprised if it wasn't. And
1974. That's what I was gonna say. In 74, okay, so yeah, and it was their last to have Peter Gabriel. So I was right. It was his last one. Mm-hmm. But that's not the one that I listened to. I listened to Selling England by the Pound. So I listened to the one right before that. And that fucking record rocks, dude.
Dude, Genesis is killer.
Damn, it's so good.
Yeah.
Very King Crimson, like very, very, very unique.
I mean, I would file it under the same category, under that prog rock kind of category. And this I would not really call that personally.
No.
Yeah.
No. This is definitely like an evolution of somebody that when he was, you know, arguably he would have been 12 years younger when Selling England by the Pound came out. You know, he's definitely in a different stage in his life, right? As an artist, Peter Gabriel is. And it's a lot more mature, you know, it's certainly far more mainstream than anything Genesis was doing. And yeah, there's the range of songs on this record is really, it's broad. You know what I mean? Because like you mentioned Mercy Street earlier, and that's just really, really super thick vocal layers, very ambient, but also really kind of dark. Red Rain,
also
much of the same thing. Yeah, like a darker tune.
And Sledgehammer is like there's almost like funk elements to that.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah, because you get all those big giant horns. Like that has legit horns in it, you know.
It does. And on the chorus, you might call me crazy, but I kept like rewinding and replaying it while I was listening to it. There's like the specific part on the chorus. I was like, what does that fucking sound like? It sounds just like another song. Like the way that they kind of stops the instrumentation, like dun dun,
yes,
like Sledgehammer. And I was like, what is that? And I finally realized it sounds exactly like Electric Feel by MGMT. the way that the instrumentation stops and starts, and even just like the chorus in general kind of sounds like MGMT. Or MGMT sounds like Peter Gabriel, I guess.
I was pleasantly shocked at, and I think it's most obvious on Red Rain, which is kind of funny because it's the title track, but he has like this grit to his voice that I never, like, until I listened to this, you know, with intention, with headphones and stuff like that on, I don't know, I guess I never thought of Peter Gabriel as having like kind of I didn't think of him as ever having any gravel to his voice. I thought his voice was always like really kind of super polished and clean, but really not at all. And I like that. I like that grit that he has in some of these tracks, especially the one with Kate Bush too, that Don't Give Up track. That's really kind of harsh vocals.
Yeah. What was your favorite song?
Oh, In Your Eyes. Easy.
Yeah.
That song is so spectacular, dude. Like, I mean, it's a nearly flawless song to me. Like, it's just so beautifully constructed, so memorable, you know, and it really is. It's transportative to me.
It's a fantastic chorus.
Yeah.
I love like the synth work on it. Actually, I love like all the three main sections of that song. There's like a verse, a pre-chorus, and a chorus. I love it all, and I love the percussion throughout. It's another big, shining star of this album is the percussion work. But for me, the song that takes the cake is That Voice Again, the fourth one. That had to be my favorite. Yeah. I just really fell in love with that one. Some really, really cool synth work, really, really great bass lines on it. And then the chorus on it was I just love the melody that they came up with there.
Mm-hmm.
So that has to be my favorite for sure.
Dude, did you do any reading on, it must have been track 7, We Do What We're Told, Milgram's 37? Did you read into that at all?
No, but that was a fucking weird one.
Fuck, dude. That fucking song is dark as shit, dude. So what that Milgram's 37 is in referencing to is like after World War II, they did all these social experiments with, and you'll know it as soon as I start to describe it to you. So there's like an observer, there's a volunteer, and then there's like a third guy inside of a chamber. And basically the observer is telling the volunteer that he's got to give this other guy a shock if he doesn't like say the right words or whatnot. The guy in the room is just an actor pretending to get shocked. But the whole experiment was ran because after the Nazi war trials, everybody couldn't understand how Nazis could like massacre people, right? Like, how did the Holocaust even happen? And it was this idea that, if you put people in a unique situation, they'll just do what they're told, right? And so there was this whole stream of experiments where they were trying to get normal people to do things that they knew were like intentionally harming another human being that they didn't know anything about. And fucking go figure.
That's how it worked out. Exactly.
That's exactly how it works out. And like Nazis weren't fucking evil people. But if you put people into a position of power and tell them that they have to do something, and there's the illusion that they have to do it, they have to do it. And so when you go back and re-listen to that song with like that as the inspiration for it, dude, like there's some serious fucking mental gymnastics that are going on when you listen to some of this stuff, Well, and it's a really wild tension that he builds in that song. And
yeah, because there's not even any, hold on, there's not even any lyrics until more than halfway through the song. And the lyrics that do come in are pretty limited. So they're super limited. But again, like that's where I think that you got to understand kind of the inspiration behind the sonic layers that he's creating. And I think when you go back to it, and if you give it another chance to re-listen, there's a different appreciation for it. Like, I'm not
super intelligent.
I will too. That one. Well, I'll definitely do that. And that one and the one after that, This Is the Picture, Excellent Birds. Mm-hmm. Another weirdly experimental song.
Yes. I like the female vocals in that song though.
Yeah, that wasn't Kate Bush, right?
No, I don't think it was Kate Bush, and I didn't make note of who it was. I mean, I'm sure that I read it at some point in time, but I didn't make note of who it was.
Yeah, but it was cool. I mean, it was definitely the right choice to put those in the latter half of the album.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that this is probably like 50 too high for me.
Yeah, I think it's a little too high as well. I mean, I just think there's the other albums that are its company this week, in my opinion, deserve to be a little higher.
Yeah.
It was a big surprise for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a great record and it absolutely belongs to be on this list. But when you hold it up to the other records that made the list this week, it's really hard for me to say that all 5 of these records belong in the same like section of the list, if you will. Because I think that this one probably needs to fall a little bit for me. It's really well done. I'm glad that it's here. I'm glad that it's on the list. If you haven't taken the time to listen to the record and you're listening to this, do it. Because you won't be disappointed at all.
Especially if your experience with Peter Gabriel is fairly limited, as mine was.
Yeah. Yeah, because his voice is really, really special. And he definitely puts together interesting music. And I would argue that this I mean, Genesis is probably would have to be considered his peak, but if not Genesis, like this is probably it. It's definitely his most commercially viable, I would say.
Yeah, I would almost say like commercially, maybe this was his peak, but like in terms of legacy music wise, probably
Genesis
work. Yeah.
I can't disagree with that. Can't disagree with that at all. Well, can we get to the next Neil Young record on the list?
Can we get to our 19th Neil Young record in the last 2 weeks?
I mean, in all seriousness, this is number 4, right?
In the last what? It was number 4 so far, but it's number 3 in like the last
3 weeks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
3 in the last 3 weeks, 4 so far out of the top 205. Yes. The last record we're going to talk about this week is Neil Young. The title of this record is Rust Never Sleeps from 1979. Rolling Stone says the live Rust Never Sleeps is essential Neil Young, full of impossibly delicate acoustic songs and ragged Crazy Horse rampages. Highlights: My Hey Hey, a tribute to the Sex Pistols' Johnny Rotten, a surreal political spiel called Welfare Mothers, and Powderfinger, Young's greatest song ever, where he unspools a hazy tale of a 22-year-old going up against government violence on the American frontier, and his guitar roars toward the collapsing sky like never before. That's maybe like too like cheesily poetic for me, the way that they described it, but I have a really hard time arguing with anything that they've said.
So you think Powderfinger is Neil Young's greatest song ever?
Fuck, man, listen, I've read that across multiple descriptions in reading about this album, and I don't know. I got to spend more time with it, because literally the first time that I ever heard this song was whatever, like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, the first time that I did a cold listen to this, because I had never heard anything off of this record.
Is there not a studio version of Powderfinger?
No.
I'm looking it up right now.
I don't think there is.
Interesting.
Because I was reading that he originally wrote that song, and he tried to fucking give that song, as well as Sedan Delivery and one other song on this record, he tried to fucking give them to Leonard Skinner. But Leonard Skinner was like, nah, fuck that. We don't want that song, bro.
You don't want that. Well, they fucked up.
Yeah. You think?
I'm reading. Check this out. I'm reading the Wikipedia page. It has been, first of all, it was firstly released on Rust Never Sleeps, covered by a numerous, it was covered by
laundry list.
Forces, Cowboy Junkies, Beat Farmers, Rusted Root, Jazz Mandolin Project, Drive-By Truckers, Young Woo, Car Seat Headrest, and Fish.
Jesus, dude.
The Australian rock band Powderfinger took their name from this song. Yeah, it's a great tune. I definitely love that tune. And I had heard that one before, although that one and Pocahontas were the only two that I knew from this. And I had texted Mike earlier in the week, and I was like, Jesus, dude, am I the only one that's loving this? From the very first 3 songs, I was a big fan of this. Just right away. Like it was sometimes there are albums on this list that didn't resonate immediately, took some time, had to spend a little time listening to them, and eventually ended up loving them, or maybe liking them moderately, but this one was just right away.
I mean, not to jump the gun, 4 stars, 3 stars, 3 stars. I actually like Pocahontas was not one of my favorites on here. I only put 1 star next to that one, but then 3 stars, 4 stars, 2 stars, 4 stars, 4 stars. Like this record fucking smashes. Unbelievably.
Mine had a lot of stars as well. I was 4 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, 4 stars. I love Pocahontas. 2 stars, 4 stars, 4 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars. I did not have any 5 stars.
Yeah. Well, and that's okay. Like I didn't either, right? I didn't give any of these songs 5 stars either, but it was just like the consistently unbelievable quality of the songwriting, the production, which I don't care. Like, so 2 of these were studio cuts, right? Pocahontas was recorded in the studio, and Sail Away was also recorded in the studio. Those were not live, but it didn't take away from what he was doing by building like the acoustic A side and then the electric B side to the album. And the way that he bookended with an acoustic Hey Hey My My Out of the Blue and then a Hey Hey My My Into the Black in the back was really, really crazy. And at first, when Hey Hey My My Into the Black, which is the last song on the record, came on, originally I thought to myself, fuck, why did they ruin this riff? You know, like this guitar is just super fucking distorted, and it made me wish that it was the acoustic version again. But then as the song goes on, man, I really fell in love with it. Like I loved just that kind of gritty rawness that the electric brought.
It was a super cool contrast. You know, it was super distorted and even dissonant. Like some of the things that they were playing were kind of grating on the ears a little bit, but in a good way. And I liked how they changed the order too, because like the first track is actually titled "My My Hey Hey."
Oh, I just noticed that.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
That was kind of fun. I did prefer the acoustic version personally. Yeah, I like the last one.
Yeah.
So which side did you prefer? The acoustic side or the electric side?
That's not a fair question. I object.
I'll answer it. I think I liked the acoustic side more. Which usually
again,
would my answer. But.
I would, yeah. I mean, normally I would say that, but again, I object to your question. Like that's some horseshit, dude. Because you can't say that. You can't. There's no way that you can say that the A side is better than the B side with Powderfinger, Sedan Delivery, and Hey Hey My My Into the Black. You can't say that. That's not fair.
Welfare Mother. I mean, Welfare Mother was great too.
I enjoyed Welfare Mothers. Welfare Mothers was super fucking punk, right? Like that was as punk as it gets. Outside of, I mean, I guess Sedan Delivery.
I was gonna say Sedan Delivery was like punk to me, like straight up punk, and I loved that. I loved how it was like dun, 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 and then it was like soft and halftime on the chorus, and then right back to
that chorus got like super psychedelic, right? It gets like kind of wavy and kind of bendy. Yeah, like this really kind of spacey feel. And then he's just like, nope, it's still a punk song, motherfucker. Go.
Yeah, I dig Neil Young doing punk too.
It's so unique. All right, that's fine. Listen, you can have the acoustic side. I'll take the electric side. I don't hate that.
But I get Powderfinger.
No, that's not true. You don't get that though. See, I get it. Okay. What do you make of the fact that so many, like a lot of these songs are really, really big songs for him and he never gave them the studio treatment?
I think it's cool. I think that I love when artists have that, when they just have a whole pot of songs that they never actually, put down onto record. And Neil Young's one of those guys that I'm sure writes all the time, So like we're probably getting the cream of that. He probably has way more songs that have never been given the studio treatment, and probably some of them are not great. That's how it is. And I like that he just kind of, picked out some tunes that he didn't necessarily ever record, and he played them on a live album. And I wonder if that was a conscious decision. Like, I wonder if they went in with the intention of releasing this as a studio release or not.
It's a super intriguing question, and the fact that he released all of this new material that ended up becoming staples at live shows as a live album. It's super ballsy, like, and nothing that, I mean, I guess I'm not surprised, right? I mean, Neil Young is kind of the archetypal rock and roll star, but his songwriting is so special, so special, and very similarly to the way that Peter Gabriel has these kind of really unique qualities to his voice. Boy, Neil Young does too. Man alive. I mean,
three of the guys, really, almost all of them really this week. I was just
this week. Yeah.
I mean, Yeah, even Shania, really. Like any of these voices you hear, like I'm never going to mistake BB King. I'm never going to mistake Tom Petty. Never going to probably mistake Peter Gabriel. Jesus. And then most of all, I'm definitely never going to mistake Neil Young.
Neil Young. Yeah. What I mean, we had this conversation. How many more Neil Young records do we get? At least 2?
Like 15. I mean, at least a couple. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Neil Young was one of their highest represented artists on the Rolling Stones list. I mean, Rolling Stone loves Neil Young, obviously.
Yeah. And it kind of seems like that's the way we're going, because we haven't, like, I'm assuming that Deja Vu would appear on here somewhere with Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young.
Harvest will probably be top 100. I wonder if Buffalo Springfield is going to be on here.
Oh, Jesus, man. I completely forgot about Buffalo Springfield because we haven't seen that yet. I would be shocked at this point, honestly.
There's got to be, is there only one Buffalo Springfield record? Because
I thought there was 2. I think there might be 2 from them, but either way, man, to me, if you're going to put Buffalo Springfield on this list, you probably need to put them closer to like a Surrealistic Pillow, wouldn't you think?
You think?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they've got For What It's Worth.
I know, which is a fucking great song.
I'm looking up their discography. There's actually 3, and they're very non-inventive names. So the first one is called Buffalo Springfield. Mike, guess what the second one is called?
More Buffalo Springfield.
You're super close. It's called Buffalo Springfield Again. And then the third one is called Last Time Around.
Oh, man.
There are 3 albums.
Yeah. I wonder if those are concepts.
It has to be. There's got to be more. This is my favorite Neil Young that we've had so far. I know we had that conversation just last week about the other one, and I said the middle one that we did, the one with like the on the beach.
Yeah, on the beach. You liked On the Beach. I was Tonight's the Night.
Yes, and this has surpassed him. This is my new favorite one.
Yeah, me too. And the reason why this one does it for me is because you get 2 sides. You get 2 sides, and both sides of Neil Young, whether it's with Crazy Horse and all of the distorted guitars and punk rock sounds and just different music, you also get that singer-songwriter version of Neil Young that can literally just kind of bring you to tears and make you want to rethink everything you've done with your life. And that's special to me, you know?
Yeah, it really is. His voice is amazing on this. Like,
yeah,
it really is. Like, I almost just think that he sounds better live than he does on the studio in his studio recordings.
Well, and for the record, because we beat the shit out of Kiss so bad on this, listen, they overdubbed. They say that they overdubbed the electric concerts with Crazy Horse, and I could buy that because the vocals sound really, really good on the back half of this record, and I don't necessarily think that they overdubbed any of the guitar, bass, or drum work, but I would buy that they probably overdubbed some of the vocals just because he may have gotten a little bit crazy. But from what I read, there wasn't substantial overdubs or any overdubbing on any of the acoustic shows recorded in May of 78 was when they recorded that.
And that's even the half I'm talking about is like the part that really, his voice really stuck out to me was the first 4 songs. Exactly. And I think he does better on those than he does on any of his studio albums that I've really listened to in depth.
Listen, I'm not going to argue with you because he sounds, just spectacular. Really, really spectacular on all of them. All of them.
Well, if you weren't a Neil Young fan before, you probably are now, huh, Mike?
Listen, I was in once we got to Everyone Knows This Is Nowhere. Yes. You know what I mean? Like I was in, and On the Beach was really good too. It just didn't hit me quite the same way that Tonight's the Night did. Like I really, really enjoyed that record a lot, but this one's at least 52 low for me. Like I would like to break up. Like I want to see some space in between some of these Neil Young entries. and I would like to see this one move up quite a bit. I think 250 is way more appropriate for this.
I agree. I like it. I like it at 250.
You know,
for sure. This is amazing. I can't believe I didn't know this one either.
Yeah, yeah.
And I knew some of the tunes. I knew Powderfinger. I knew Pocahontas, like I said. But yeah, that was it. So
almost, I mean, the vast majority of Neil Young stuff for me is going to be it's going to be found, which I'm super excited about. You know, this, like, he was one of those artists that when we first talked about doing this type of project, I was thinking to myself, great, because I'll be able, I'll have somebody like basically sifting through the mountain of work that the guy has done. Like, he's a fucking prolific songwriter, and you know, somebody else has done the heavy lifting on at least a part of the discography for me. So I have not been let down yet.
Yes,
which is nice.
They've got some good picks.
Mm-hmm. All right. So do we want to preview the next show whenever that may be?
Yes, we do want to preview that. We should do that.
Yes.
Yeah. So that we don't really know right now. Mike and I haven't really discussed when the next one's going to be. We may end up having
soon. It'll be soon.
Probably at some point soon. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be.
It's not going to be next week. We know that.
Yes. It might be the following week.
It'll probably be 2 weeks from today, is what my best educated guess would be right now. And that's a strong maybe.
It's a definite maybe, and it's more of a probably not, to say the because actually 2 weeks.
Oh, because you're going to be in Florida, huh?
Yeah, we both have those weddings
go to
in 2 weeks.
I forgot. Yeah, I forgot you're going to Florida.
How'd you go be the best man at a wedding? So
yes. So it definitely will not be 2 weeks from today.
So either we'll fit it in next week sometime, depending on, I don't know, Mike is going to Mexico next week, or this week. So I'm not sure when Mike gets back from there. We'll talk it out. We'll put a post up on watch for social media. We will make an announcement.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, watch social, because we'll post up there when we're gonna be, or if we have to make adjustments. But let there be no mistake. When we come back, heat. Absolute heat.
Indeed. So coming in at 290, very exciting one. We have Daft Punk as Memories.
Boom. And you know what? We might end up having production manager Justin on at least to talk about that album, because that's an album that he's massively in love with. After that, we're at 294, the debut from We Said the Blue Album. Love that record.
293, we have The Breeders, which is interesting because we were wondering about that about 100 albums ago. Last Flash.
That's right. Kim Deal back from Pixies fame. And we've had 2 Pixies albums, and this is the first time that we've got a side project from the Pixies. But that's a fun one.
We have just had one Pixies.
No, didn't we have Dr. Dolittle and Surfer Rosa?
I don't think we had Doolittle yet.
We haven't had Doolittle yet?
We definitely had Surfer Rosa, but we didn't have Doolittle yet, because Riley Rath
is coming back for that.
Surfer Rosa will be returning for Doolittle.
Okay, my bad. We haven't had Doolittle yet. So we go from Surfer Rosa to The Breeders, Kim Deal's side piece. After that, 292, we're going to be talking about Van Halen's debut. Van Halen.
Running the Devil on that.
Eruption
on that. Holy cow.
And then a little bit of Eruption.
291, Destiny's Child, The Writing on the Wall. Interesting.
Are you familiar at all with Destiny's Child?
Am I familiar with Destiny's Child, the band?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this was on the radio when I was,
this was on and popping when you was little?
Okay. Yeah, and this was like what they were spun at daycare all day and stuff. I mean, I'm pretty intimately familiar with this stuff. I don't know. I never sat down and listened to the album, but I'm going to know all of these songs.
I definitely know Say My Name, right? Like, everybody knows Say My Name. But this was at a time when I didn't really appreciate. I mean, it's not that I didn't appreciate. I definitely was not listening to female R&B groups in the late 90s in the Marine Corps.
Why not, weirdo?
Yeah, I definitely was the weirdo, but that's gonna be fun. Like, I'm excited to hear a young, what do they call her? A wonderkind named Beyonce Knowles.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a fitting title. Yeah. Well, once we get to that, it's going to be exciting. So that's going to be a good week. So make sure you tune in for that. Like as we said, we will post an announcement on social media. So watch out for that. Thank you as always for tuning in.
Yeah. Happy Monday to you all. Have great weeks, and we will talk to you real soon with some more records.
Indeed.
This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. This list sucks. It sucks.